this is it, right? It's essentially a pitch deck about why you should, do cyber and why, come aboard with RW2. And the idea here is like, we're not, obviously we're an educational institution, but, we're not necessarily like a college, right? This is about getting you ready for a job, right? Giving you skills that you can apply right away, and deliver value. Um, so let's move to the next slide. So why cybersecurity? A lot of this, y'all already kind of, answered for yourself. The way that I like to present it is the industry needs you, right? It needs all of us. You know, 2,300 unique attacks per day. I don't know how many, that is like per, like per minute. But, some of these statistics, average cost of a data breach, $5 million, right? And that's not just, cleaning up and getting other cybersecurity like services and people involved. That, that's your reputation. That's potentially losing customers, right? Because, you lost some data. The global cost of cybercrime in 2025, 10 trillion, and that number continues to go up. All of these numbers continue to go up. 3.5 million open cyber jobs. Average cyber spending for US companies was at, I guess, 300 billion. Or I'm sorry, that's collective. And then, in terms of like entry-level cyber jobs, I think you mentioned this, Joshua, right? Like being able to take care of your family and stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, once you get in the game, right? Typically entry level could be anywhere from like 70 to 90, right? Depends, depends on the skill set, how you can differentiate yourself. But once you're like mid-career and you've kind of moved on and you've branched out, like, 130s, and there are jobs that pay even more than this. I think the average CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, that is cybersecurity person number one. I think their average salary in the United States of America is probably 250 to 300, right? Now, you know how it is, like, heavy's the crown, right? It's a stressful job, but, if it's something that, you're interested in, right? Especially for those people who are very process oriented, anybody who's previously, like in the service, or you're just like really good at just like management and organization, that might be something that you can entertain a few years, right? Like once you get some of the foundational stuff under your belt. Um, and does anybody know what Dole, Chick-fil-A, Ferrari, AT&T, what they all have in common?
I don't answer this one right.
Anybody but Brandon?
I have no idea. I thought maybe I did, but I don't.
There's cybersecurity.
Yeah, we're getting warmer. I guess on the surface, their products and services are not similar, but what
What
they
type
have
of
in common
information that
is
they have to protect?
we're getting closer.
Well, they all been attacked.
Thank
I
you.
mean, their
Man,
data's
well
been
done.
breached.
Yes, you are correct. Within the last couple of years, you're going to find that each one of these institutions has
Been
had a
breached.
breach of some sort. Yes, ma'am. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. So why RW2? The reason I'm here is I just love the mission, which is changing the face of the tech workforce, right? And this really is all about improving diversity. Like, in the tech space, like historically, I can tell you, I remember like early in my career, I would be like one of the few Latinos in the room. There was no folks of color in the room. Things have changed, but I think if you look at the numbers, they could be much better, right? I think the Amazons of the world, like all the big tech companies, are probably closer to like 5 to 10%, right? It's mostly, but I mean, this is what we're about. And honestly, I don't really care who you are, right? If you want to learn this stuff and you want to come here, like I said, I'm gonna give you 110%. So we want folks to learn to get real skills, technical skills. We also offer soft skills, right? Like interviewing skills, and like I said, even some of like the life stuff, like the experience, the stuff that, Gwen has that you can't really, that you don't learn in a book, right? It's because you actually had to go through it. Um, I'm proud to say like I'm not the prototypical, academic instructor, right? Like I do this for a living. I do this 9 to 5, right? So to me, I think that gives me an advantage because I understand what's happening now. And that's not to say that people at just academic background can't do it, but again, I'm in the game. Um, Start from where you are and grow, right? That's huge, right? Because this is like ground up. We're going to build you up from the, from the ground. And, you can create a rewarding future, take care of your family. And, what I like is the whole, make a positive impact and pay it forward, right? Because someday y'all will be, in the seats, maybe in the leadership seats, and then you'll see some of that talent, untapped talent, and you can help to raise them up as well. So that's what we're about. Again, I love the mission here. That's why I do this. Are you sold or resold?
Yep, most definitely. I had a question now.
Bring it.
The Cisco's, is it CCNA?
Yes, sir.
Is that a hard test to take? I know we briefly spoke on it last time. I was just curious on how hard it was or how much information you had to get in order to take that test.
Yeah. So at the time, we're talking 2001, it was only a multiple choice test. Nowadays, it has a lab component. So they're going to ask you questions. They're going to ask you to configure things.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say, I'm not going to say, oh, it's like the hardest test in the world or whatever, but it's essentially the equivalent of Security Plus for networking, right? It's very, very broad, a lot of different concepts, but they add the actual configuration part, which means that you actually have to have your virtual lab set up, and you can get the software, the free software, and all that stuff. But you got to be ready to play from a theory perspective as well as, okay, actually, how do I do that?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
legit, if you want to learn networking, that right there, like I said, I could give you, 2 weeks of IP networking, like, quick in a nutshell, but that takes you, that takes you to a different place.
all right. I'm just trying to get like you, Mike. I'm starting at the ground level, working my way up.
You are in the right